she to be buried in Christian burial that willfully seeks her own salvation?
I tell thee she is. Therefore make her grave straight. The crowner has sat on her and binds her to Christian burial.
How can that be unless she drowned herself in her own defense?
'Tis found so.
It must be seo offendendo. It cannot be else, for here lies the point. If I drown myself wittingly, it argues an act, and an act hath three branches. It is to act, to do, to perform. Argal, she drowned herself wittingly.
Nay, but hear you, good man, delve.
Ah, give me leave. Here lies the water. Good. There stands the man. Good. Now if this man go to the water and drown himself, it is. Will he, nil he goes. Mark you that. But if the water come to the man and drown him, he drowns not himself. Argal, he is not guilty of his own death, shortens not his own life.
If she be a gentlewoman, she'd never be buried out of Christian burial.
Why, there thou sayest. And the more pity that great folk should have countenance to hang and drown themselves, more than they're even Christian. Come, my spade. Why, here's a skull now. This skull hath lain in the earth for 23 years.
Which was it?
A horse and man, fellers, it was. Whose do you think it was?
Nay, I know not.
A pestilence on him for a mad rogue. I poured a flagon of Rhenish on my head once. That same skull, sir, was Yorick's skull, the King's jester.
This?
Even that.
Let me see. Alas. Poor Yorick. I knew him, Horatio. A fellow of infinite jest. Most excellent fancy. Borne me on his back 1,000 times. Now how abhorrent in my imagination it is. The gorge rims at him. Here hung those lips I have kissed I know not how oft. Where be your jibes now? Your gambols, your songs, your flashes of merriment that were wont to set the table on a roar? Not one now to mock at your own grinning. Quite chapfallen. Now, get you to my lady's chamber, and tell her let her paint an inch thick to this favor she must come. Make her laugh at that. Prithee, Horatio, tell me one thing.
What's that, my lord?
Dost thou think Alexander looked at this fashion to the earth?
E'en so.
And smelt so.
E'en so.
To what base uses we may return, Horatio? Why may not imagination trace the noble dust of Alexander until they find it stopping a bunghole?
Twere to consider too curiously, to consider so.
No, faith, not a jot, but to follow him thither, with modesty enough and likelihood to lead it, as thus. Alexander died, and Alexander was buried. Alexander returneth into dust. Dust is earth, of earth we make loam, and why of that loam whereto he was converted might they not stop a beer barrel? Imperious Caesar, dead and turned to clay, might stop a hole to keep the wind away. Oh, that earth, which kept the world in awe, should patch a wall to expel the winter flaw. But soft aside. Here comes the king.
Having a good time so far?
I dreamed tonight. And so did I. Well, what was yours? That dreamers often lie. In bed asleep, while they do dream things true. Oh. Then I see Queen Mab hath been with you. She is the fairy's midwife, and comes in shape no bigger than an agate stone on the forefinger of an alderman, drawn by a team of little enemies athwart men's noses while they lie asleep. Her legs her wagon spokes made of long spiders' legs. The cover, the wings of grasshoppers. The traces of the smallest spider's web. The collars of the moonshine's watery beams. Her whip of cricket's bone, the lash of film. Her wagoner, a small gray-coated gnat, not so big as a round little worm, plucked from the lazy finger of a maid. Her chariot is an empty hazelnut, made by the joiner squirrel or old grub, time out of mind the fairies' coachmakers. This is the hag, when maids lie on their backs, that presses to them and learns them first to bear, making them women of good carriage. This is she! True, I talk of dreams, which are the children of an idle brain, begot of nothing but vain fantasy, and as thin of substance as the air, and more inconstant than the wind, who woos even now the frozen bosom of the north, and being angered, puffs away from thence, turning his face to the dew dropping south.